Hey, so this video is my video analysis, my week 2 video analysis. A little bit late, but as you know, I've been dealing with little something like defending my dissertation, which I did do successfully, thank God, and praise be to God for all of that. And then went on a previously planned vacation with my wife up to Tahoe National Forest. So it ended up being a celebration of sorts. I really wanted to take the video up there, and the scenery that's up there, it's amazing. It's just beautiful. But alas, got caught up in everything, and then my car breaking down on the way back, 4 hours from home. It was a disaster. And then everything culminated with an interview today for the district position. So just a lot going on. So I'm here, I'm home, but I am ready to answer the questions. So really, I have to be honest, comparing and contrasting secular leadership and Christian leadership, according to the article, I was stuck. I'm looking at the article, and I'll be honest, I'm here, I took notes and highlighted some things, and I just can't, for the life of me, wrap my mind around some of the ideas in the article, and comparing and contrasting secular and Christian leadership. For example, in the article, the author speaks to the fact that Christian leadership really is so totally different from secular leadership. They really are mutually exclusive, basically, was the impression I was getting from the article. And that even that, secular leadership is basically worldly leadership, and that really only those that are in the world are practicing that form of leadership. And that was troubling for me, I have to be honest. I don't really agree with that. I think that as Christians, we can be leaders in our schools, and we can do it with the Christian perspective and show and spread God's love in doing so without being worldly. Unfortunately, yes, in schools we find that worldliness is a reality, and it really does end up manifesting itself in some really ugly ways. But the fact is that I think there are plenty of leaders who are Christians that operate in schools. When prayer is taken out of the school and God really is removed from the schools, it's difficult to do that. But I still feel there are people who get that done on a daily basis and can spread God's love in a mighty way. I don't really see them as mutually exclusive. The fact is, leaders are... they are an image, and in terms of the medium is the message. I was intrigued by that part of it, where basically it's more about who you are and how you present yourself that really transmits the message. And that, I think, was a profound statement, and I think that is something I certainly agree with. As a matter of fact, Oscar Wilde, there's a quote in here that says, "Who you are speaks so loud that I cannot hear what you say." That's a great quote. I really love that. And then I feel like it spills over into the Multipliers book, which I thought was a fantastic read. So as far as the diminisher and multiplier behaviors, and as it relates to that, a diminisher who is stifling, who has all the energy, like the pace setter and the rescuers and those types of diminishers, absolutely. When these individuals are setting forth a message, it's that message of learned helplessness, where you really don't need to be on your own. You can call on the administrator, and they're going to just jump on into the rescue and everything else. And that's when you do that, when you're that type of a diminisher, these are the things that happen. You don't get to tap into the genius that's in the schools that basically is the catalyst for some of this multiplier behavior. Conversely, with the multipliers, when you're a multiplier and you're engaging people, you're tapping into their native genius. You're motivating people to do the best that they can and tap into that brain power. That's also a message. When people see that and know that about you, that you're that type of person, you can easily send the message of motivation, buy-in, obviously establishing and fulfilling vision. You become that person because of all the things that you're doing around you to motivate people. So I definitely see the medium as being the message as a powerful idea. Again, it was difficult to connect it back to secular and Christian leadership, because I really feel like the Christian leadership aspect in this particular article was about Christian leadership in a church, and how they are to conduct themselves and all those things. But even then, I found it a little bit odd, I have to be honest, because of the idea that we're going away from the herd mentality and setting ourselves out to do our own thing. And I know that we're a peculiar people, the Bible says that, but the herd mentality, I mean, that's what fellowship is about, and the church is a body. Not an appendage, not a digit, not an organ. It's a body. So I found the article, there was some dissonance there for me. I just wasn't connecting the ideas well enough. Perhaps I've done too much reading and analysis. I don't know. But the fact is, I just wasn't making the connections. As far as the diminishing attitudes and the multiplier attitudes, I went on to the website and took the quiz. Are you an accidental diminisher? Which was fun to do. I found that I tended to be more toward gatekeeping, diminishing attitudes, and I knew for myself, being a rescuer, that was one. And I'm going to indicate, I'm just looking at what I wrote down, and an optimist. I like to think that anything's possible. I like to think that we can get things done, especially when there's so much negativity and so many things out there to the contrary. I just like to believe in teachers' ability to get the job done and to do what they do best, and students' abilities to learn. And just we need to do what we can to get that done. But sometimes it's just not realistic. So there are things I can do about that, about being an optimist. I can make the space for mistakes, as indicated in the book, which I really think I'm going to do more of. Not just making the space, but letting people know that it's okay to do that. And typically I do, but I have to do it within the context of whatever leadership situation I'm in, and not just in generalities. I think in the thick of it, when we're starting something new, that's when I can send that message, and hopefully that will transmit well. The other thing is to talk up my mistakes. I typically don't have a problem speaking about my own fallacies and my own things that I've done wrong, especially if they can help someone do things correctly, to correct a mistake. So I can do more of that, again, within the context of whatever the mission is or whatever the project is that we're doing. The other thing is the rescuer. Absolutely, that's something that, back from my counseling days, ironically, I mean, that's something that's really like a no-no. But it's just, I have that heart to look and try to get people out of it and be a problem solver. It drives my wife nuts because sometimes it's like, I don't need you to solve this problem, I just need you to listen. So that's definitely a diminishing trait, because I jump to the rescue, and in particular with things where I'm really there more to facilitate or observe, I'm jumping in with suggestions, recommendations, and that's just not really helpful. So again, I can make space for mistakes, which is ironic that the two diminishing attitudes I saw actually share a common suggestion, recommendation, which is making space for mistakes. And then also giving it back. So really where it's, well, how would you solve this? How would you fix this? How would you mitigate these circumstances? And make it less about a solution-driven attitude and more of just listening, facilitating, and encouraging. Those are things I can do as a rescuer, so that I'm doing it in the proper way to be as a multiplier and not as a diminisher. As far as the multiplier traits, this was kind of fun too. I look at the last three, challenger, community builder, and investor, as the three that I would want to build on. I was especially excited about the challenger trait, only because I want to be one of those thinkers. I want to be somebody who asks the tough questions, who puts out the challenges, and really I feel is visionary in nature, where there's a goal and say, this is where I see this school, district, whatever it is, and set that out as a challenge and be there to help out and just get people thinking and wondering, not just sticking to the status quo, but trying to jump and make the leap and say, yeah, how about that challenge? How can we be the best at this? Or how can we improve by a certain percentage? I really like the Challenger one. And I think I'm going, as far as building that up, is just putting out challenges to people or asking those tough questions within a context where I'm first comfortable with, because I want to stretch slowly but surely. But I really love that one. Community building is important, especially around where I am, being a Latino, speaking the language, and just trying to get families to connect with the district and vice versa. And also just even within the school, just debating, bringing things up that allow for people to communicate and collaborate. The issue with that becomes strife and any kind of issues that were going on before that just would not help the situation. So it's just trying to mitigate that, more communication, more debate, getting people to really talk it through so that there's a solution, and then keep fueling and fanning that fire. That one might be tough, honestly, just based on the dynamic of the school where I am. But nevertheless, I think it's important to do that, to get everyone on the same page, even if it's on some things. I think that makes the school stronger. And then the investor. I love this one. And with my counseling background, it's just really, really putting stock into people and watching them fly, giving them the opportunities to do things for themselves, and see how they do it. Because I can tell you, I don't have all the answers. I loved reading this book because I think it validated me as a person who doesn't have all the answers. And just really appreciated the fact that it's okay for me to ask someone else how they would approach it, and even have them go ahead and take the reins. You develop leaders that way. You develop capacity for leadership in others, and really you can motivate them to do some great things. So, those are the multiplier traits that I look forward to embracing and trying to work on, and that's really how I would go about doing it. Certainly there are going to be challenges with that, but I look forward to it. I look forward to the challenge, and hopefully getting those diminisher behaviors, keeping them at bay by focusing on motivating those that are around me, getting them to tap into that brain power so that they could be leaders in their own right and really, really build up the school. If I'm busy enough with that, hopefully those diminisher attitudes won't rear their ugly heads and get in the way. And really, I hope to do that. Just spreading God's love and showing grace, I think, is a huge part of this. And just understanding and being empathic and saying, I've been here before. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to have a new project or a new thing. But I'm here with you. Again, not to rescue them, but to support them. So really, that's the connection I see with Christian leadership. I don't see it as mutually exclusive, especially in the capacity of schools. I think it's unfair to think that you're one or the other, especially in schools. We need to be praying for the opportunities to actually inject, if I may, God into these situations. Because it's as difficult as it is, having an attitude that things are mutually exclusive just doesn't help the situation. So that's pretty much where I am with that. If I didn't analyze it properly, I would love to know. Just because it's something that I kind of struggled with when reading it. I'm trying to get the author's point of view, and then knowing my own experience and how I would want to be a Christian leader versus what I was reading. And there was just some dissonance there. But again, living and learning and just using my examples, and hopefully I can be a multiplier, not just at the school, but for God's kingdom, and help people come into their own and tap into the best that they can be and the best that God has made them to be. So that is my video analysis. No technology this time, nothing too technical, just me sitting down and really just getting to the nitty-gritty nuts and bolts of what I read and how I internalized it myself. So I need to go and continue to catch up with the rest of my stuff. So hopefully I'll have some great news about the district position. But if not, I'm still going to rock and roll at the middle school as the vice principal there. And I have already done something that I'm proud of, that God has been just more than gracious in opening the door for me to be Dr. Martinez. So thank you for watching. Thank you for viewing this. And I welcome your comments and anything that you would want to add. God bless you.